my story
can.
like that was we were at a fraternity thing, so that's early '70s, and we got on an elevator. It was a fraternity convention in Denver, I think, and we got on the elevator, and we're all hooting and hollering, and we get on with this lady, and we turn and look at her, and we go, "You're that girl."
That girl.
And it was Marlo.
Marlo?
We were all slobs, here and to here and all that. And she said, "Do I look okay?" We said, "Damn, you look great," or whatever. And then she got off the elevator. And I still remember at first, he said, "Yeah, are you that girl?" She said, "Yeah, that's who I am." Oh, okay.
That's funny. That's for those of us old enough to remember.
Yeah, I know.
That was the start of every show.
I remember it in reruns.
That was way before Phil.
Yep.
Right. That's right. Well, I like the way this conversation's already going, so I'm just going to do our little intro, and hopefully this has already been rolling because we're talking about celebrities, and that kind of leads us to talk about TV and movies and all sorts of things. So, I'm in my scrubs today. Rick's wearing his SpongeBob cap, and it's kind of like, we're still doctors at heart, but
I'm in my
my
podcast suit.
Yeah,
that's right. So anyway, welcome to Inside the Doctor's
Lounge. You're a health professional.
Oh,
yeah, right.
Anyway, I was going to say, welcome to Inside the Doctor's Lounge. I'm your host, Dr. Desmond Bell, with my colleagues. I'm going to go ladies first today because I always, inevitably don't do that. So shame on me. With my colleagues, the founder and CEO of MD Coaches, Rhonda Crow. My other colleagues, partners in crime here, Dr. Randy Cook and Dr. Rick Zollinger. And, we just have been already having some laughs today, which I think we need. It's certainly strange times, and we always say laughter truly is the best medicine. But, we got to thinking, how have doctors been portrayed on television and movies and even commercials? That famous line of, I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. There's a guy from a soap opera wearing a white lab coat, and somehow he was an authority on medicine. So I want to kind of get this going today and start, I'd like to talk about how, the public sees us and how we're portrayed in the media. And is this accurate? Is it fair? Is it a little out there? And, we have pet peeves in all this too. I'd see a lot of times at my house in the background, let's say Grey's Anatomy would be on, which I'm one of those people. I've already put in a long day and a long week. The last thing I want to see is more medicine on TV. So I just kind of tune it out. But every once in a while, I'd pop my head in there and see what's going on. And so number one for me would always be the guys are in there scrubbing, prepping to do before they go into the OR, and their masks are off. Yeah. That is the kind of thing that would just drive me crazy. It's like, okay, you're not sterile. What are you going to do? Now you're going to, after all that scrubbing, you're going to go reach up and tie your mask? And you guys have any thoughts on things that drive you crazy along the way?
Well, I have a disclaimer first because I did stay at a Holiday Inn last night.
There you go.
So we can call them in as a advertising ploy for my MD Coaches.
Man, I would actually tell my patients sometimes, like as I'm doing my consent with them in holding, it's like, "Doc, you okay today?" It's like, "Don't worry, man, I got this. I stayed at the Holiday Inn Express last night," and it always get a laugh out of them. So just to kind of, relax them a little bit, I think.
Well, I think they've all varied. I mean, I go back. I remember sitting there with my dad. He'd never watched that stuff. He was a doctor, and Dr. Kildare and Ben Casey, and that little guy that was his boss. I forget.
Dr. Zorba.
Dr. Zorba. Yeah, what a great name. And but then it progressed, and I was telling Rhonda the other day, Randy, you'll like this. My favorite that I thought was most authentic in past years was, and they all throw in, love affairs and that. They got to sell TV, but was St. Elsewhere. And I love the music score, I think, is what it was.
Yeah,
it always kind of got me going. But I felt like they tried to be a little bit more authentic. Now, I haven't been a fan of, I haven't watched Grey's Anatomy or any of those a great deal. The last time I really got into it was Doogie Howser. And I always like these ones. Now they've got one where the kid has Asperger's, right? And he's I think he's a surgeon, and he does all sorts of, but I can't even remember the name of that show. You guys might remember. So they take it from all directions, but I've never been I've never been ashamed of how we're portrayed, I guess. I don't know. They have to make it dramatic. It's not Perry
Yeah.
Mason, I guess.
Yeah, there's more drama and things are solved in the course of a half hour or 1 hour, whatever, however long the show is. It's
Yeah.
like if it only really worked like that. But
You know,
yeah,
I have to admit that in my younger days, when I aspired to be a physician, um, I loved to watch those things.
Yeah.
They were just very engaging, and it was easy to engage. But you know, those of our audience who have studied drama understand that there is this thing that is required for good drama called a willing suspension of disbelief. Meaning that you have to accept the fact that you know, it's not real life, but I'm going to pretend that it is real life for a while.
great point.
And as I advanced in my training, I got to a point where I just couldn't do it. I couldn't engage because it was just so off the wall. I remember Rick, an episode of St. Elsewhere, where they were going to do the very first heart transplant that they had ever done in the hospital, heart transplant.
Yeah.
And so they had a recipient, and oh my goodness, a hospital from across town called and said they had a donor. Wow.
That's pretty
So
miraculous.
they get to ship it over in a cab or something like that. Oh, and by the way, the donor was the wife of one of the interns who at the end of the show walks in and puts his stethoscope on the chest of the recipient and hears his wife's heart beating in there. And you know, it's just too much of a stretch. So I had to give it up. That said, I have seen some characters that I wish that I were more like sometimes, and I wish that all physicians would be more like Colonel Sherman Potter on MASH.
Yes.
You know, what a great guy.
I wish
You
I had
know,
his patience.
I forget. You forget.
Sage.
Yeah, you forget MASH. MASH
Yeah.
Oh
was
no.
MASH. Well, no. Well, no. I know it was like the greatest, most watched TV show of all time. But you're right. I look back on that and go, you know, that was pretty authentic.
It was.
Yes.
He's
Yes.
actually my number one doc, but not
I
I mean,
Potter.
they said, you know,
It's
these guys would
Hawkeye.
say it's meatball surgery, and then they'd get them alive and then ship them off to Germany or whatever.
I think it was the most authentically portrayed from its medical standpoint, and it focused on the drama.
Mhm.
Well,
You
in the
know,
book and the
and the
movie,
drama is all the stuff that goes on in and around the operating room and the clinic and that
yeah,
sort of
it's
thing.
amazing how long that show sustained too, and how they kept up, you know, the quality of the scripts and everything. Because you know, the movie itself was outstanding. I loved that. Was one of my favorite movies back in the day, and
I
I'll
was going
still
to
watch it
say,
if it comes on.
yeah,
And it really was a pretty accurate portrayal, like of what goes on, and the personalities involved too. You know, they have their gifts and they have their flaws too.
Radar.
Yeah, in prep of this program that we're talking about today, I did my top 5, and as a matter of fact, it
you've
was
got 5 hero
I got
TV doctors.
5. I got 5
Wow.
that I really enjoyed. But
Let's hear 'em.
number one. You want me to start at 5 or number 1?
Start with 5 at number 5
Okay.
and work our way up like Letterman.
Give
Okay.
us a drum roll, Rick.
So this one may sound a little quirky, and it'll be a little insight into me. But number 5 is Bones McCoy from Star Trek.
Also one of my favorites.
I love
Oh, yeah.
Bones.
He had
That's
that.
a
He
great
had that
one.
thing. He just pass it over you and
I know.
diagnose brain tumor. Yeah.
Well, as a young girl, he captured my attention, and I'm going to credit him a little bit for sparking some some curiosity in me as to wonder if you can do those things, and did some research. But back in those days, it wasn't on the internet; it was in encyclopedias, and I had to open a book. So I give him credit. Number 4 is Dana Scully from the X-Files. A lot of people don't realize, but she was a doctor.
That's
and
right.
She represented very well, very practical. She was I thought, the grounding person in that duo. She held their feet to the ground when they were talking about very literally out of this world subject matters.
Mulder was more emotional.
She kept us on Earth.
Yeah.
and brought the science to it. Number 3, I think, is everybody's favorite. It's Gregory House. You just gotta love Gregory House.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And how he just kind of took control of every situation and every hallway, if you will.
You know what that? You know what that? Yeah, and you know what that show always reminded me of, based on, you guys remember this, back when we were all younger, was the New England Journal of Medicine every week had some disease that would be zinc intoxication, or something. And you try to go through it, and that's what House was. House, I was always trying to figure out what the heck he was, and that was actually right. That was kind of fun to watch.
Oh yeah, he found.
Sorry, I missed it. I had already given up medical drama by then.
Well, it's
never
probably
seen a single episode.
It's probably streaming somewhere.
Yeah,
it's actually a good one to pick up.
It's worth a watch, Randy. And he was great at finding the zebras and also breaking chops too. And he bucked the system. All the things that we love.
Yeah, he's all about zebras.
Number 2 was Dr. Mark Green from ER. And I know Sherman Potter was yours. I just thought Mark Green encompassed every quality I wanted to see in my doctor. And he just had the heart of what I was looking for. Is he the guy that died? He did. He died at the end on the big island of Hawaii, which I thought was a beautiful way to die when you're dying of a brain tumor. That was the drama.
What's beautiful about him, to see his career, he was in Revenge of the Nerds, and obviously, he did well enough to make it onto ER.
Yeah, that was very good casting. I thought they cast the right person for Mark Green. And then number 1, it's Hawkeye Pierce. It's Hawkeye Pierce on MASH. He is my guy. I just love him. And it was a tie. I mean, it was a close race, because the other one is BJ Honeycutt. I love BJ Honeycutt as well.
Hey, here's a little
Trapper was okay too. Don't forget Trapper.
He was.
Here's a little historical aside of that. Did you know that the MASH units were defined for Operation Overlord, which was D-Day, and they were to come behind the advancing troops in France and set up hospitals and evacuate back to coastal England. And then they didn't need them because they moved their bulkheads once they made fast enough that they didn't need the hospitals. So then that was used later in Korea, but it was part of Operation Overlord. I always thought that was cool.
Just know that.
I think that whole thing about how much of medical advancement gets done in the military, having to do things quickly and efficiently and with great mobility. So much of what was learned there gets transferred into civilian life. I mean, that's where trauma centers came from, and rapid transport and helicoptering people around and that sort of thing actually came from the MASH model, I think.
Yeah, and the development of jet ventilators and PEEP and the use in pulmonary came out of the 90s, and when we were still all in the middle of practice, and in today's world, with this new thing they were using, it's all about PEEP, I guess.
Yeah, you guys will appreciate this too. Before I went back to school to do my pre-medical work, I worked for Zimmer Orthopedic. And one of the early things that they taught us at Zimmer was that so many of the advances in orthopedic surgery came from wartime experience.
Sure.
And I don't know if this is accurate, but I learned in school, of all places, that the ABD dressing that everybody refers to as an abdominal pad actually is an acronym for all battlefield dressing. So I don't know how accurate that is.
I wouldn't be surprised.
It kind of makes a lot of sense. But anyway, just a little tidbit to throw out there.
Well, that's a bit of trivia I wasn't aware of.
Well, yeah, because amputation started advancing in the Civil War.
Civil War, exactly.
Yeah, because they just had the advent in the late 1840s of ether. So they could have.
And it was Hanger, big orthotics prosthetics company.
Yeah.
Actually, it was started by Hanger, who was an amputee himself during the Civil War. So he advanced a lot of the work.
My funny aside to that was when I was working over in wound care is I thought Dr. Hanger opened his clinic over out in South Charlotte. They said, yeah, we're going to send him over to Hanger to get some work done. I said, oh, who is he? And then I looked it up and I said, oh.
Are we thinking about asking him to go out to lunch or something?
I was going to call him and say, hey, I'd be happy to entertain you. We're sending you a lot of work,
Yeah. No, but so there you go. But the MASH units, where we've come, really, it really is fascinating.
Do you think that, I would think any profession, lawyers to lawyer shows, policemen must right now go, police shows, doctor shows. I don't think anybody they see a little bit of authenticity and then a lot of fluff, I guess.
Well, I think, you picked three of the best examples of what shows up in a lot of drama, and especially in compacted drama like on television, and that is law enforcement, lawyering, and the medical world, because, those are all built around either life or death circumstances, or at least life-changing circumstances in the legal world. So it's a great place to build a drama, but you're going to lose some authenticity if you pack it into 60 minutes. Actually 43 minutes when you count commercials. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to think of, we're talking about some of the serious dramas and stuff, but there have been spoofs too in medicine. I'm just trying to think. Obviously,
Scrubs.
The Stooges, where they were kept paging them. Everybody remembers that episode. Exactly. We're not too far removed from here, by the way. But I'm trying to think. Have there been some like really good medical spoof dramas or spoof comedy type things that have been on? There was one a few years
Carol
ago.
Burnett did it all the time as a segment on her variety show.
Yeah. And I just thought of Scrubs was one that kind of comes to mind a few years back.
Oh, the one we all saw they used to show it at the course though was like Tim Conway being the dentist.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. He pokes himself with the yep.
And Harvey Korman, just couldn't keep it together every time Tim Conway was the dentist.
Those two guys would just play off each other and crack each other up all the time. You couldn't wait to see what was going to set them off each time.
Oh, I'll tell you a great one that thinking off the cuff like that. Robin Williams.
Patch?
Patch Adams.
Patch Adams.
Yeah, that's right.
This is Patch Adams.
There you go. Come in and tell jokes and lighten things up, lighten up the mood.
Well, think about it. He did that, and then he was the shrink in the when they woke up.
Awakenings.
Yeah. So he did some medical stuff. I just thought of that.
Yeah, I know the real Patch Adams is still out there too. I haven't
heard
anything recently. He was
still practicing.
I don't know if he's still practicing, but yeah, this he definitely was. It was definitely based on a real person for sure.
Yeah.
Well, no, don't you think that's part of what the kids miss now? I used to dress up. I mean, me. You guys know me now. I'm crazy. So I would dress up in a Santa hat, and on Christmas when I had to make rounds, I would go in and I always pulled out that fish. Take me to the water. And
yeah.
I'd play it in every room of every patient, and it would make their day. And I'd give them
sir.
And
take me in the operating room and split my sternum from end to end and mess around with my heart. Yes, sir.
Well, they were okay.
That's what I want you to do for me.
Yeah, but it's like, think about it. The last place, around the holidays, all people want to do who are in the hospital is get home. Doesn't matter. That overrides their health condition.
Absolutely.
Like, I just want to be home for fill in the blank. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter. Those are always the big ones. And so, Rick, for you to even do that, to consider dressing up like that and bringing a little cheer into otherwise lousy situation, probably turned out to be a memorable Christmas for a lot of
For
those
sure.
patients.
And I really think, all kidding aside, I think patients feel a lot better when they realize that their physician or surgeon is a genuine human being.
Yes, indeed.
Human.
Well,
Absolutely.
it boosts your own morale.
And we also know that they're probably going to have better outcomes and recover if they're, in a good mood and not stressed in that constant state of adrenaline release too.
Yeah.
This is, this is, it's part of the whole communication skill and conveying that you are empathetic and a human. And that's a great point, Randy. It really is.
Well, hopefully, Randy, there's still people teaching like that. I mean, you've interviewed a few of them. I hope there's some people making rounds that are bringing that part of the career to light to these young folks.
Yeah, me too.
I just hope so.
It's worrisome in the fact that when you hear things like comedians are afraid to even play college campuses anymore, or there's a fear of, Rick, like walking in the hallways dressed like Santa Claus. Okay, 9 out of 10 people will probably love it, but there might be somebody who's going to be offended.
Yeah.
And this is where we're getting to. And, we kind of have to push back. And I think we should have more people dressed like Santa or the Easter Bunny, whatever it is, or just, Halloween. Everybody loves to dress up in the hospitals. So, what's I think it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, but I'm a little concerned. People coming out of anesthesia, looking up and seeing the Wicked Witch of the West. That's that's a little concerning.
Yeah, definitely don't dress like the Grim Reaper that day.
Timing is everything. You have some splaining to do.
I can't remember if people dressed up at Halloween or not.
It's become more and more popular, and even our hospital, we would have each department would come up with some kind of theme and decorate a table and all that stuff, and they really were pretty creative.
It's pretty widespread where I practiced up until my retirement. Yeah.
Let's just say you didn't want to have anything surgically done in the city of New Orleans 4 days before a Tuesday. There were less people in the hospital then than there were on Christmas Day.
Oh man,
I'm sure.
Yeah, it's I would tell people, because I went to Tulane too. We would get Mardi Gras holiday. Yeah, I would tell people, it's like, oh, have you gone to Mardi Gras? It's like you can't escape it. It's like, imagine if 500 people you don't know showed up at your front door and said, hey, we're having a party whether you like it or not. Yeah. And they camped out all over the place and just trashed your place. That's why a lot of the locals would head out of town then too. Just go somewhere else for vacation.
My parallel to that was I trained in Augusta, and during Masters Week, there's not much going on in the hospital.
Yeah.
Got to be bad sick to get in there.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah,
we have the memorial.
We still kept our ladder, Des. Remember, you put your kid up on a ladder, and then they'd throw more stuff at you if you had a baby.
Right.
That's true.
I put my little girl up there in a rabbit suit and then stood behind her and begged for cups.
Oh God,
Lordy, they get you arrested nowadays.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Child endangerment.
Yeah.
It'd be throw me something, mister.
Yeah, that's right.
That was the big. The trees are full of beads, and like you say, if you're a little kid, they spot you, and somebody in the float will just throw you a whole stack of beads or a whole bunch of them, not just one or two.
Mm-hmm.
That it is a unique thing, and I told people we're way off topic now, I guess, but it was really a family-oriented event. Besides the religious overtones of Ash Wednesday coming and all that stuff, we started celebrating right after January 1st with the king cakes and babies in the cake, and then you bring the cake. But then when Mardi Gras started, the 2 weeks before, if you were working, the neighbor would take your kids and they'd go to parades in the community, and it was a family event. Everybody sees Tuesday and thinks, well, I mean, I didn't go anywhere near downtown on a Tuesday. I was out more towards Metairie, I guess. But
yeah, you're right. And that stuff would be starting up at least 2 weeks before. Every day there's like multiple parades, and I'm trying to think. There was somebody who I think he was the one of the grand marshals of Endymion, I think, when I was down there. It was a TV doc, and I can't remember it now. I'm just blanking on it. But trying to tie this theme of actors and medicine and movies and all that.
Yeah, we got a full circle there.
Do you have any pet
Exactly.
peeves? You started out with pet peeves in the no mask and scrub area. I'll share with you my top pet peeve.
Please.
Being the lone nurse and talking about Halloween. I absolutely hate how nurses are portrayed at Halloween. It's really upsetting to me.
Oh, for sure. Well,
I know I'm
yeah,
going to be the stick in the mud for everyone out there and all the Halloween costume sales, but I just think our profession deserves more respect than that.
It's hard, I think, for anybody who has not stood in the shoes to understand exactly what it's like to be a nurse.
I agree.
And you just have to swallow hard, I think, and remind yourself that those people are very lucky that they don't know what you know.
Without question, and I've gone to my fair share of Halloween parties, and there's invariably 2 or 3 nurses among them, and I just give them a cheers as well.
Take the high road.
Absolutely, but that's my top pet peeve.
That's a good one, Ron. That really is.
Yeah.
For me, it's that thing that we talked a little bit about earlier, and that is, you can get a diagnosis and treatment plan and be well on your way to recovery within about a minute and a half.
That's wishful
I
thinking.
can think of I can't. One that sticks out in my mind was, and I can't even remember which show it was, but in any case, some screaming, delirious person was rolled into the emergency room, and they get him in the room, and they're starting IVs and all that kind of stuff. And in less than 30 seconds, they had a diagnosis of Addisonian crisis.
Well, they're really smart doctors.
You can't get the blood to the lab in that length of time.
I was going to say, blood to the lab that's not clotted. You're going to have to draw that again.
Yeah.
Randy, you'd get a kick then. You'd get a kick out of watching on Netflix or something a few episodes of House, like we said.
Yeah.
Because it's just the opposite. They come in and they're diagnosing acute appendicitis, and it ends up that it's ascaris or something.
Right.
It's just like, well, did you not know he swam in the Nile last week? Oh my God, I didn't think that was one of the biggest things I remember from New Orleans, is that in the rest of the world, one of the biggest specialties is dealing with
tropical disease,
tropical medicine,
tropical disease. In Florida and Louisiana and Hawaii are about the only places in the U.S. that have that, and people don't know what the diagnoses are.
Yeah.
When I was actually a freshman in medical school, they brought somebody from Tulane to give a couple of lectures on tropical disease and parasites and things of that nature, because that's, New Orleans was the closest place where there was truly an expert that dealt with it day in and day out.
Yeah, Tulane actually, we did have there was a formal program in tropical medicine while I was there, and I'm sure it still exists. That was one of the things too, when Katrina hit too. I was talking to a friend he's not medical. I said, the biggest thing, the scariest part for me is that it's not the flooding and the immediate stuff. It's going to be all these nasty infections and things that are going to cause people to die just because of what grows down there and the things that are unique to that area. And it's just such a hot mess. No other way to describe it. And I think that kind of was the case too. That made, just to kind of my flight of ideas here too, that one of my pet peeve episodes was also on Grey's Anatomy, I believe. It was I saw a clip of it. A young guy comes into the ER, and he's got a diabetic foot infection, and he's been working. He's totally with it. He's not septic or anything, but they come in and tell him he's got to have his leg amputated. It's like, time out.
Right.
Okay. Like, no, guys, this is not the state of medicine right now. And if I were that guy, I would have wheeled my butt out of there ASAP.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. No assessment done.
Which, by the way, this is our ribbon, in case anybody's wondering if you can see that. That's our amputation
I
prevention ribbon.
spotted that.
It's
Yeah.
great.
That's our Save a Leg.
Did
Save
you
a Life
design
ribbon.
that?
Partially. My daughter actually did when she was
No
about
kidding.
Yeah, she was
It's a
about
great
14
logo.
years old and came up with that.
Good
Yeah.
It's
for
our
her.
white sock for PAD awareness and our white sock campaign, and then the missing leg on the other side. So
That's fantastic.
kind of cool.
Outstanding.
Yep. It's
Yeah, you
growing.
need to send a few of those around, man.
Yeah, we will. We're working on it. Thank you, Rhonda, for some
welcome.
ideas on that too. But yeah, we've got ribbons. I'll get them to you guys.
Well, I ring the bell and do this all the time for Amisa, so I'm out there for you.
I know. Appreciate you doing all that stuff too. Believe me. Well, do you guys have anything else you want to throw into this conversation before we call it a day? Because it's certainly been a lot of fun. And you know what? We've all been laughing and smiling through this whole episode today. Back it up a little bit. Back it up a little bit, Rick, because there you go. Inside the doctor's lounge. And that's nice and clear. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Anything else? I'll give everybody else 10 seconds to make one last observation or comment.
I've done
Z.
both my lists.
Rhonda, you thank you for those contributions. You were more organized than we were, which is not a surprise.
No, all I can do is my best Hulk Hogan, which is actually a Ric Flair, and that's woo!
I'm sure you've run into Flair and Charlotte too.
Oh yeah, I mean, my son has about 100 pictures with him. He's crazy.
All right, you pencil neck geek. Oh, that was Freddie Blassie. I'm sorry. We'll have to talk about wrestling and medicine next time.
Yeah,
That'll be next
yeah.
time.
There's a good one. Good topic. Injuries.
Yeah.
You get hurt.
I have
Dr.
really nothing. I have really nothing else to add other than this has been a lot of fun. I think primarily because of the way that the conversation darted around without any apparent planning or purpose. It made me feel like I was quite inside a doctor's lounge. So it's been a lot of fun.
And that's the purpose, because this is what happens inside a doctor's
Exactly
lounge.
right.
You know that.
Very
I mean,
authentic.
That's what we love. You know, we can have our conversations and laugh sometimes, and sometimes we're serious. And most of the time, though, we are just enjoying each other's company. And that's why, you know, amongst friends, you can always talk openly and be honest. And that's what Inside the Doctor's Lounge is all about. So please, if you like what we're doing, please ring the bell and subscribe to our channel and what we're doing here. But really go to our website too, MD Coaches, and learn more about what we're doing as well. So again, it's a privilege to be here with my friends and colleagues. Again, founder and CEO of MD Coaches, Rhonda Crow, Dr. Randy Cook, who hosts our wonderful podcast, RX for Success, and the one, the only, the picking and putting master himself, Dr. Z, Dr. Rick Zollander. Until next time, remember, why don't you guys each do the outro today, okay? Rhonda, what do?
We see you.
Randy?
We believe in you.
Rick?
We hear you.
No, close. We're here for you. See, you guys are getting on my stuff all the time about this. I'm not the only one.
Randy stole my line.
That's right.
He called on me. What can I say?
I love it. Yes, yes. We
You have
see
to study
you.
more.
We believe you. We're here for you. We believe in you. Mix it all up however you want.
Rhonda,
all
I've got a new
We're pathetic.
plaque to put under your MD Coaches back there.
Yeah, I think
Those
so.
three things, and then that way we can all go. There it is, right
There
there.
it is. Yeah, the gecko's got to go.
Oh, Rhonda, you must be so proud.
I'm extremely proud.
This is your
Like the
team,
den
Rhonda.
mother who has the unruly bunch.
We see you. We believe in you, and we're here for you.
Yes,
Oh,
we
there
are.
Thank you, and thank God for you.
There you
All
go.
right, gang. It was a blast today,
That's
Great
fun.
time.
and we'll catch you next time inside the Doctor's Lounge.
Very good.
Everybody be safe.
Bye-bye, and live long and prosper.
There you go.
my car and I am making a house call today. Every once in a while, I do feel the urge to work. All seriously, though, our discussion inside the Doctor's Lounge today was really a lot of fun. My colleagues and I just really enjoyed bringing this to you. And while we were talking about how medicine is often portrayed in the media, whether it's through TV, movies, or even commercials, it's had some type of an impact on us. And we really enjoyed reflecting on some of the things that we've observed over the years, some of our pet peeves, some of the things that made us laugh or other. But we've also kind of tapped into something more important too, and that's why the Doctor's Lounge is such a great place to meet up. It's a place where we can either kind of gather our thoughts before we start our tasks of the day, or in many cases, it's a place where we can decompress as well after a long day. So whether it's either one of those scenarios, the bottom line is it is a place where you can meet up with friends, your colleagues, and others who can really have honest dialogue and share some thoughts. And you can't put a price tag on that. That building up of camaraderie and collegiality is so important. It actually translates into better patient care at the end of the day. So we hope you enjoyed this. And by all means, we hope that you enjoy other episodes of Inside the Doctor's Lounge. Again, it's a place where we can all come together, have honest dialogue, share ideas, thoughts, exchange ideas, and you're among friends. And there's no fear of repercussion here at all. So if you like what we're doing, please ring the bell and sign up. And also continue to listen to our RX for Success podcast that's hosted by my colleague, Dr. Randy Cook. And by all means, please continue to check us out on our website, mdcoaches.com. There's so much value in here for you, and we really love for what you do and hope that you'll contribute to this. And like I always say, maybe you'll find yourself being a guest on our program. So until then, for my colleagues, Rhonda Crow, the CEO and founder of MD Coaches, Dr. Randy Cook, and Dr. Rick Zollinger, I'm Dr. Desmond Bell. Remember that we see you, we're here for you, and we believe in you.